And here we are. We're live on Narativ and on the Trump Tourney Tracker for the Trump Tourney Tracker with Olga Lautman of the Trump Tourney Tracker. I love saying that as many times as I can. How are you, Olga? Nice to see you.
I am good. I am good. Long weekend. We haven't seen each other in like a week now.
I know it feels like a long time, but I'm glad we're getting to catch up. How's the smoking going? You were giving up your smoking.
Today at 11:30 will be 2 weeks since I had my last
Oh,
cigarette.
well done. Congratulations. That's really amazing. That's really
Time
good work.
time is going. I can't wait 2 months and 2 years. And so it doesn't even cross my mind at all.
Can you believe all the time you spent thinking about cigarettes and smoking and all that time? I mean, it must have been a lot of money spent and a lot of hours wasted.
Oh, decades, 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 decades. I honestly didn't believe I'd be able to do it, and sure enough, here we are.
Well, I'm thrilled.
Amazing.
I'm thrilled you're doing it, and congratulations from all of us to all of you. And
Thank
keep at it.
you.
We'll keep you accountable. Let's get into the Trump Tourney Tracker for today. It's day 295. Is that right of the Trump administration? It is 295.
Yeah.
And we're tracking the most significant authoritarian developments of the last 24 hours. Olga, let's begin with what is really a grave crisis in the US-UK relations. The United Kingdom has suspended key intelligence sharing with the United States in the Caribbean after determining that Trump's policy of bombing suspected drug boats amounts to illegal extrajudicial killings. British officials fear the intelligence is being used to select lethal targets. That's also a concern echoed by Canada and US military lawyers who warn these strikes violate international law and have already killed 76 people. It's a major story developing in the Caribbean. Tell us what the latest is.
Yeah, I actually like when I saw this cross the wires, I mean I quickly sat down and wrote a Substack on it because this is such a significant move. I don't think people understand how consequential this is, and I'm shocked that CNN spent, the day reporting on it. They're the ones who broke the story, but literally, the nonchalantly, like, oh yeah, so they decided to cut, intelligence sharing with U.S. on some intelligence, not all, although I suspect it's more than um, some, without discussing the severity. And now think about this: U.S. and U.K. have the closest intelligence sharing, and just are the closest allies forever. And here you have the UK, you know, concerned that the information they were providing was used to carry out these killings, and they don't want to be complicit in murder.
Yeah.
I don't think this has ever happened with the United States, where one of their closest allies pulls back intelligence sharing because they don't want to be complicit.
Well, they're also saying
Um,
really that the United States is murdering people in the
yeah,
Caribbean. This
yeah.
is an ally saying this about the United States and a respected ally. It's also a signal that the Five Eyes, which has been such an important union, an alliance between the five significant nations that are leading in intelligence, it appears that that's just no longer a thing, that these countries do not trust the United States for even core intelligence like this.
Yeah, and look, the Five Eyes Alliance started fracturing, honestly, after in February, after Zelensky was thrown out, ambushed and thrown out of the White House.
Mhm.
This sent a chill across Europe, across our Five Eyes partners. And they, basically all had a great awakening of the direction the United States was going, that we were siding, with a freaking murderous genocidal thug, versus Ukraine, that used to be a key ally to the US. And after that, everything started going downhill. In August, Tulsi Gabbard basically put a no foreign, which means that on all intelligence of Russia Ukraine discussions. So basically, this was blocked from our Five Eyes alliance, which really made them raise their eyebrows.
Mm.
Then you had the Netherlands last month, which was also unprecedented. You had the heads of the intelligence come out in an interview and basically say that they're cutting back some intelligence sharing and taking it on a case by case basis, particularly with NSA and CIA, because of their concerns of the autocratic direction that the United States is going. And they specifically cited the targeting of journalists, the persecution of former government officials, Trump's retribution campaign, and all the purges they were seeing across the intelligence agencies. Now you have the UK basically coming out and saying, well, at least according to CNN, that the U.S. is committing extrajudicial killings, is carrying out these strikes against international law, and that they don't want to be part of this. They don't want to be complicit in assisting the United States commit murder. I blame this all on Republicans because the Congress has, basically abdicated their duties to Trump, and they are the ones who are supposed to be a check on his power. They themselves, the Republican senators, along with Democratic senators, have tried to get information from the Pentagon and basically, are getting the runaround, but they have taken no action. And the Republicans, both in Senate and the House, I mean, we haven't had a House for 2 months. I think they're coming back tomorrow. But the fact they're allowing this to happen is incredible. I mean, this is really incredible. And clearly, it is so dire. And what is happening is way worse for the UK to basically allow this information to come out.
It really is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. They're speaking about it out loud in the public as well. I mean, these are the kind of things you normally deal with diplomatically behind closed doors. You don't necessarily start broadcasting where your intelligence alliances are going. But here they are doing it in the public, it seems. It also doesn't help that FBI Director Kash Patel promised MI5 he would preserve a critical liaison post for the Five Eyes surveillance coordination in London, and then he abruptly eliminated that role as part of his bureau purge, reassigning the agent back in the United States. So this agent was helping surveil the Chinese embassy, the new Chinese embassy in London, and has now been pulled back into the United States after a promise from Kash Patel to the head of MI5.
And it doesn't help that Kash Patel was in New Zealand recently, showed up casually, took this whole Five Alliance, treated it as like a joke and absolutely like non-significant, handed out, the 2D replica guns that are against the law. I mean, his behavior. This is what happens when you put a podcast extremist host, in charge of one of U.S. Major agencies. His behavior, his lack of concern about these are serious alliances. This is built on trust. This is decades and decades of trust. These are the countries that keep the United States safe, because every single country that is going to decide to pull back intelligence sharing, which we've now had several, every single one leaves the United States more in the dark. And what does that what will that result in? Americans being killed overseas because they had no forewarning of a terrorist attack. Americans being killed in the United States for the same reason. I mean, these are the alliances that are 24/7 scouring chat rooms and SIGINT and HUMANT and everything to collect intelligence to share with United States as well as their other partners, to make sure that there are no terrorist attacks, that there's nothing dangerous happening. And I mean, I don't blame them. I'm shocked that they were sharing anything. I personally, if I were any of these countries, I'd be sharing faux intelligence with them to see how quick it gets back to the Kremlin. And
they could try that. It also leaves America the world very unsafe, because the world relies on American intelligence as well, which means that, as this alliance frays or breaks down completely, other countries, these allied countries, Canada, the United Kingdom, these European countries, are also reliant on American intelligence. And if they're not getting anything that they can trust, it really breaks down the whole world stability. Another win for Vladimir Putin.
Yeah, it's a win for all the autocrats who want to see dysfunction and chaos and terror in this world. And again, this is extremely dangerous what is happening. I cannot believe that Congress, is not taking this more seriously. I mean, maybe the fact that the Brits had to allow this, leak to slip that they are cutting back intelligence over what's happening with Venezuela. Maybe this will send a jolt into Congress because this really affects everyone. I
And it's a,
mean,
it,
first and foremost, the United States, but it affects everyone, the whole world, like you said.
Yeah, it's the first time in the post World War II era that this kind of intelligence sharing has been suspended by Britain with the United States. They've been sharing intelligence since World War II, so it's really an unprecedented thing, at least in the last almost 100 years. Let's move on to the next story, which involves these Trump pardons. The Trump has issued full, complete, and unconditional pardons to 77 allies tied to the 2020 election subversion effort. This includes Rudy Giuliani, Mark Meadows, and Sidney Powell. Despite many facing only state charges, his pardons cannot legally touch. These pardons continue his campaign to absolve the architects of the coup attempt and recast them as persecuted victims rather than the criminal conspirators that they are. This is appalling what he's doing. 77 people who were involved in peddling these lies and a conspiracy.
Not only peddling, I mean, if they only peddled lies, they devised a coup plot of alternate electors
Mm,
in order to send the election that was legitimately won by Biden, by the American people, to overturn those results and send it to the House of Representatives with these fake electors, in order to have the election redone and keep Trump in power. So, I mean, this was not only the conspiracy behind it, but this was also taking the action of literally, in several states, having these fake electors that were hand delivered to at the time the House Speaker, and that Pence was supposed to basically, overlook and throw out the election and say, okay, here, we're going to go by these fake electors in order to not certify the results of the 2020 election, but to basically recalculate and move the results to Trump as being the winner. The whole thing, again, is disgusting. You have, these criminals. I mean, these are criminals. These are traitors against the country who decided that my vote and every other American who voted at the time for Joe Biden, that our votes did not count, and that they were going to allow this king, to stay in power, disregard the Constitution, disregard the results, and that's it. And Trump, since 2020 has been doing everything not to only cast doubt on the election results, but to spin conspiracies. And it's so bad that even his insurrection, besides having our agencies, and again, I keep reminding people we are paying for this. This is
mm,
our tax money that is paying for every agency to carry out these things. He's had them, clean out any mention of him tied to the insurrection. And it's gotten so bad that you have several states basically doing everything to preserve evidence and preserve the truthful account of what we all saw. Trump supporters, breaking down Congress because of Trump, who told them, go take back your
mm.
country. After all the planning, well, let's not
I
even
mean,
get
people
into
died that day.
Sudan and
People died,
yeah,
and the vice president was, his life was threatened. I mean,
yeah,
the House Speaker's life was threatened. A lot of people
yeah.
that was a very serious, violent day, and people just can't seem to remember that now, as he tries to really rewrite history.
Erase it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
erase it. And in fact, what's happening is the Justice Department is equally as frightening, as he's opened. The Justice Department has now opened new criminal inquiries into the officials who authored the 2017 assessment of Russia's election interference. They're issuing up to 30 subpoenas to figures including John Brennan, Peter Strzok, and Lisa Page. This move revives Trump's long effort to discredit the Russian investigation and arrives alongside indictments and inquiries targeting his longstanding political enemies, including President Barack Obama.
Yeah. So you have at the same time, the people who actually work to defend this country to investigate Russia's 2016 attack. And this is actually why I launched my series on the
Mhm.
2016 election, Julie and I, not to relive 2016 because God knows we have a lot of shit happening now. You can't keep up. My tracker keeps me busy, for hours a day to put all this
Mhm.
information together, but because precisely the fact that I knew that these, prosecutions were coming and that we couldn't allow Republicans to rewrite history. Russia attacked the 2016 election. Russia did it to stop Hillary Clinton from getting into power, to help install Trump into the White House. They were successful. They admitted it. They went through a million avenues, carried out, multifaceted attacks to put Trump into the White House. And here, anyone who was involved in investigating, all the Russian operatives and agencies and players who attacked the 2016 election are now being persecuted. And I mean, the fact that they took, this to some shady grand jury in Florida, nothing happened in Florida. The
Mhm.
attack was on the U.S. election. If anything, it should go through a grand jury either in New York, because Trump campaign was based out of New York, or through Washington, D.C. But we have a shady grand jury in Florida now going after everyone who investigated the 2016 attack.
Yeah, it's really interesting that there was a report on NBC today as well that there were prosecutors inside the DOJ who are resigning because they don't want to investigate President Barack Obama's so-called crimes, which of course don't exist. But they're refusing to go through these sham investigations that have been ordered by the president. So these top prosecutors are leaving their jobs, and apparently the DOJ is finding it very hard to even fill those jobs, even though they
Yeah.
have a lot of openings. A lot of people have left. A lot of people are just refusing to work for the Department of Justice.
Yeah, because they have to, I mean, go against, oath they swore to the Constitution to serve a sociopath with his obsessions of basically rewriting history, covering for Russia, covering for all his criminal, cronies who helped him carry out whether the 2020 one insurrection, whether the attack on Russia, and that's it. I mean, who wants to, do something illegal and carry out these illegal orders?
Mhm.
So, they're when faced with that, they have a choice. Either resign or carry out illegal orders, which is not what these people spent their life serving.
Yeah,
These are public servants. I
and they
mean,
probably know what happens on the reverse side of it. When all of this gets sorted out, a lot of people at the Department of Justice will be guilty of crimes if they proceed with these kinds of investigations. The Department of Homeland Security is deploying the Homeland Security Information Network at college football games and campus protests, pulling live feeds from CCTV, drones, body cameras, and private cameras into a single real time tracking system. The tool enables facial recognition searches and mass data collections far beyond what attendees are told, creating comprehensive surveillance infrastructure at public gatherings. Maybe this is in reaction to Trump being booed on the weekend so heavily by all those people. But this is really an invasion of privacy. Not This is not just about security.
it's not just about security, and it is what I think we have discussed. I've, been sounding the alarm since February of the surveillance state being built, and, repeating exhaustively that immigrants were just a test case, that this is for all of us. And the fact here we are, in November, what is this? The 11th
Mhm.
month, 10th month, 11th
Yeah.
month of Trump being in office. These surveillance, systems have all pretty much come in. They've been testing them on immigrants over the past 10 months. And here now it's being redeployed to U.S. citizens. And I mean, they're not looking for immigrants at college
No.
football games. They're monitoring any kind of campus protest. And that's it. And I
And
mean, this
privacy
is now.
and what people are doing there. The other question, of course, is this is not new. This is authoritarian regimes' textbook kind of playbook. This is what they do when they come into power, no matter what it is. Sometimes it's not as technologically advanced as we're seeing here, But certainly this was the case in Russia, and it's certainly the case elsewhere where these authoritarian regimes have come in. It's to chill any dissent. It's really to suppress any opposition to the government.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. This has been, the Soviet state. It's always been like this for a century. Believe it or not, even in the 1800s, the Tsars had Okhrana, which was their intelligence agency at the time. And they were one of the most, sophisticated intelligence agencies of the 1800s, and specifically to look for any dissent. They had people embedded, within the Orthodox Church at the time, within pretty much everywhere throughout society, in order to monitor any dissent, any question whether the Tsar was, ordained from God, any pushback against what the state was carrying out. And then this continued, obviously, through Russia into NKVD. Then eventually that changed, a few agencies later to KGB. And then there was some kind of a temporary reprieve in the 90s, a few years after the collapse of the Soviet Union. But by I would say, 96, 97, the FSB, which came out of the KGB, began the same thing with domestic surveillance. By the time Putin came in, he really, put everything together, pulled all the agencies to the point that you can't even, like a post without having a visit from security services asking why you like the post and potentially being arrested for liking that post. But this is an old tactic, because even in the Soviet days, you can't even make a phone call. You knew, like, if you said one word
Mm.
while you're talking to someone who's inside of Russia, or at the time Ukraine, if you said one word on the phone that, was a banned word, or, a flag word by the intelligence agencies, you would actually hear a click on your line
Mhm.
to know that you're being monitored. So
I've heard it here
here
in
we are.
Canada and the United States. I've heard that click before. So I always wonder. My dad has a very sort of dark joke about the KGB. He says because he grew up in Lithuania, and he said that it used to be known as NKVD, right? Is that what is the name again?
NKVD.
Yeah, he said he used to say that
NKVD.
was that stood for I don't know when I'll be home, because that's basically when you disappeared. You didn't know when you'll be back home. Dark humor from my father there. Two stories to end the show today expose DOJ corruption under political pressure. Alexander Smirnov, the FBI informant who admitted fabricating the Biden-Burisma conspiracy, has vanished from a federal custody despite a 6-year sentence, with officials claiming he's affiliated with the facility but not housed there. Later admitting he was furloughed with no forwarding address. Meanwhile, a whistleblower told Representative Jamie Raskin that Ghislaine Maxwell is receiving banned special privileges. But let's talk about the first one, because it's a serious case. Smirnov was, committed a massive crime, and I can't believe he's not in custody.
No, no one seems to know where he is. I can't tell you my God, weeks that I spent in a rabbit hole on
Yeah,
Smirnov,
me too.
looking into, looking into his contacts and everything. And basically, what happened is he was an informant for the FBI. Somewhere by 2019, he decided to start delivering the FBI Russian bullshit. Russian intelligence services around the time approached him, told him, to start feeding conspiracies on Hunter Biden and Joe Biden. This was at a time that Giuliani, um, the pardoned elector, was also running. He had approached a Russian intelligence inside of Ukraine to basically attack the 2020 election. Another one that I was literally monitoring everything on the ground. Smirnov. Basically, they are started feeding the FBI bullshit. That was coming from Russian intelligence. The FBI figured out that this is bullshit they're being fed by Russian intelligence. Eventually, last year, I believe they finally indicted him. He was found guilty. And now, interestingly enough, no one can find him. He's not where he's supposed to be, which is in prison.
Wow. I
So
can't
that
believe they
just
even use
shows
the
you.
terms like furloughed and affiliated. I mean, that sounds like he's at an academic
I don't know.
institution or something like that. And he isn't. And then,
He's
and of course, there's Ghislaine Maxwell, which we've been speaking about a lot
No,
lately.
and with him, we'll end up
Yeah.
seeing him. Sorry to cut you
Yeah.
off. We'll probably end up seeing him in the FBI. He'll probably be like the deputy to the deputy
Deputy
director
director.
of, yeah,
Dep-
deputy to, now they have two deputy directors. They created that
yeah.
position. And so they'll maybe add a third one for him.
It'll add to the fool's parade that is currently leading the FBI. And also Ghislaine Maxwell, this is quite stunning. I mean, she's at this very posh federal camp, really. It's not even a prison. She's getting custom meals, expedited mail, after hours recreation, a puppy, computer enabled visits. Her warden is apparently writing her commutation application with her. I mean, this has reached a level of serious concern that this person who's obviously struck a deal with the president of the United States and his attorney, who's currently working in the Department of Justice, to protect the president and protect information about his crimes, and he's getting this luxury service inside the Department of Prisons.
So, as the past over a month now that the government has shut down, you have 42 plus million people who had SNAP cut off and have, basically no food. You've had military active members standing on on lines at food banks to get food. You know who is not starving? Ghislaine Maxwell. She has a better life than you and I. She has a puppy in this prison. She has yoga classes, Pilates classes. And I
Sounds
mean,
like a
the
retreat.
whole,
I mean, it sounds lovely, honestly.
it's a Club Med for me. I mean,
Mhm.
honestly, it is Club Med. And here you have this woman who participated in the rape of over 1,000 kids. Now, think about it, 1,000 kids who were raped by Epstein. She participated in a lot of this, whether it was recruiting, whether it was in the actual acts of, raping these kids. And here she gets a, visit from Todd Blanche, who's whatever he is,
The
deputy in
Attorney
Department of
General.
Justice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's it. Suddenly, secretly gets moved to this Club Med with puppies, and have at the prison, well, not prison even, whatever this is, facility. The people working for her.
Yeah.
No
The
one's
warden is
allowed to
working for
talk.
her. Yeah, if anyone comes and talks to her, they get threatened with being sent 1,000 miles away, or they go into isolation. They aren't allowed to communicate with her. And dare they criticize anything about her or have any words about her, they're completely isolated. I mean, it is
Yeah.
the height of injustice that's going on right now. And some of the people there are, in jail or in this camp for very small crimes. It's not where you send people for serious crimes, and she's getting the special treatment and she's a convicted sex predator.
And the fact is that not only that, this prison doesn't take convicted sex
Mhm.
offenders, predators, rapists. I mean, this is not the prison for this. So here you have this happening right in front of our eyes. And again, Congress, is the least bit concerned. The Department of Justice is covering up for this, trafficking ring for Trump, for his allies who were involved in this. And I mean, the whole thing is nauseating and infuriating. And again, a reminder that we are paying for this. We
Mhm.
pay for the Department of Justice. We're paying for Pam Bondi to, cover up for this monster. Um, we're paying for this, and
Yes,
and we
absolutely.
really need to. Hopefully, now, if the House ever comes back, it's supposed to tomorrow. Hopefully, now we'll have the representative Grijalva,
Gralva, yeah. I don't know if I don't
Grijalva.
know if it's going to make a difference. The more I'm looking into it, it looks like it's going to be very complicated for them to pass even the discharge petition. But let's see how that evolves in the next few days. In
Well, hopefully that at least it'll get attention back to it, because I mean
Exactly.
this is the least that the survivors deserve. I mean, the fact that this is happening, can you imagine every survivor who this woman basically raped and delivered to wealthy people. Can you imagine? I mean, they're sitting there locked within, their horrors and their mind, and this woman is playing with fucking puppies.
Yeah, some of them are, have dealt with lifelong trauma, and on the occasions I've had to speak with them, they're they're looking for closure, just like everybody else is, and they may not get closure, but at least they're hoping to gain a lot more information from these files. While we were on the subject, I should point out that I'm just published chapter 1 of the Greatest Heist, book 2, which it looks at the way JP Morgan and Jamie Dimon involved themselves with Jeffrey Epstein in the 2000s and even before that in Ohio with Wexler, but also how they all contributed to the 2008 crash that cost this country trillions of dollars when the housing market collapsed. We're going to show you exactly how they all participated in setting up that crash and in profiting from that crash, while none of them suffered any consequences and millions of Americans lost their homes. So that's at narativ.org, Narativ.org. It's part 1, just published yesterday. Part 2 will come out this Sunday. What do you have at Trump Tyranny Tracker and Unmasking Russia, Olga?
So, Unmasking Russia, I published the article on hey, called what is happening with the UK, them withholding intelligence, and I mean the significance on it. Also, I have a new installment coming out this Thursday on my new series, Russia and the Global Far Right.
That's great.
The first one launched on last Thursday and basically covered, Putin's days in Dresden, being a handler to a neo-Nazi, and Russia for all its propaganda and disinformation about Ukraine, how it is actually Russia that has for a very, very long time, and Russian intelligence services particularly worked with Nazis and far-right extremists in order to subvert democracies, across Europe, Canada, United States, and everything what we're seeing. So
It's
it's
so
going to be a
important.
very long series.
Yeah, no, it's so important right now with what we're seeing with the rise of Nick Fuentes as sort of this new leader of the youth wing. You got Vance appealing to that same market. I read a study on the weekend that as many as 30% of the online MAGA supporters, the young ones in particular, the certain demographic, are groypers. They're fully behind Nick Fuentes, which basically means they're neo-Nazis. That is a huge number, and it's a growing concern, especially with X amplifying so much of the anti-Semitism and the anti-Israel content on X right now.
Can I just point out the hypocrisy, though, of the Republican Party, in case we don't already know it? They're in this sudden uproar over Fuentes, which is a vile. I mean, this is a vile extremist, and the Heritage Foundation, which honestly, so be it. Have fun. The more
Yeah, go for it.
fighting there is, go for it exactly. But the fact is that Trump's, when he came down the escalator, I mean, we have to really remember that not only did he refuse to say anything against David Duke, who is the Grand Wizard of the KKK, who, by the way, there's going to be an article on him and his time in Russia, um, to, both citing Charlottesville, where they actually said Jews will not replace us, on top of basically, other actually pro-Russian speeches that, because Richard Spencer, which I did mention in this beginnings, is connected to Dugan through his ex-wife,
Interesting.
who worked for,
Interesting.
his ex-wife worked for Alexander Dugin. She's Russian. She was a translator for him, and he basically had a relationship over the past decade with Dugin. So to Charlottesville, then Trump dined with Nick Fuentes, and suddenly it is the Heritage Foundation that they're concerned that he decided not to push back against. I mean, Trump has brought, this is the MAGA base. This
This
is
is
a
the MAGA
good.
base, and it's done intentionally. And obviously, X is busy amplifying all of this. So it's not just
Yeah, absolutely.
it's not coincidence that this is happening, and obviously part of their plan, even though as you point out, on the surface looks hypocritical. It's a really great series. I'm hoping everyone else checks it out at Unmasking Russia. .substack.com. I think I've got your super incorrectly there because it says olgalautman.substack.com. I'm going to even
I
put
think
that.
that's how it comes
Oh,
up
it does?
for some
Okay.
reason.
Okay, well, there you go. Maybe that's exactly what it is. I'll blame
I'm
my
not
AI for that.
technology savvy.
That is the show for tonight, the Trump Tyranny Tracker Live. We do this every Tuesday and Thursday at 7 p.m., but we're not going to do it this Thursday. We'll be back in a week from now on Tuesday. But it's great to see you, Olga, and keep up the good work on these
You too.
non-smoking.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I can't wait till next week. It'll be week 3.
We can't wait either. And that's it for tonight. See you next time, everybody, and have a good night. Oh, it's 7 p.m. There's at 8 p.m. There's a Zoom call that some people are joining us on as part of the community. So join us there if you are joining us. I look forward to chatting to you there. Have a good night, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.